Something that British people love to do is complain about the weather. It's basically a national sport, and I can't really blame us because it is absolutely freezing right now. So then I kind of started thinking, what can I make to help chase away those winter blues? And I came across the idea of making a little fire spirit to help bring some warmth and also a little bit of mischief too. As always, before I started sketching, I did a quick scroll through Pinterest and came across a very cheeky little critter by Thale Simonato and a very demure looking flame spirit by Stress Jenny. These little illustrations really helped spark an idea in my brain, and then I decided I wanted to sketch out a little monster that brings his warmth and cheekiness to brighten things up when the world feels horribly dull. Now, did you notice that he's toasting a little marshmallow on his head? Come on, I feel like it's a really cute prop that gives him so much personality. Plus, who doesn't love a s'more? Now I reckon this sketch has given me a really good starting point, so let's hop into Blender and start 3D modelling him. Skatoosh! Let's get down to business and model some stuff. I'm sure this won't come as a surprise, but the first step is going to be blocking out the character and getting something down in Blender. I wanted to make our little friend a little bit on the chunkier side so he would look super cozy, like he would give those premium quality hugs. It's a boy. I'm sorry I'm such a child. Jokes? Not really. Anyway, I absolutely adore modelling the facial features because that's the part that really brings the character to life. You know what they say, the eyes are the windows of the soul, the schnoz lets you sniff stuff, and the bushier the eyebrows, the better you can see. So I wanted to give our little fire spirit ears like Eeyore to make him look super sweet and super innocent. If any mischief happens and anyone started pointing fingers at him, he'd give them the puppy dog eyes. It wasn't me, honestly, mister.
Not guilty. Case dismissed.
Something that I would really love to be able to do is create varied poses for my characters. I just feel like it adds a lot more personality. This pose basically says, look at what I can do, you jealous? Whilst this one says, I'm ready to take over the world, mwahaha. See, very different vibes. I feel like I spent a really silly amount of time working on the tail. You'll see me change the shape about 1 billion times. Every time I'd switch up the angle, it didn't quite look right. Plus, I do think I was procrastinating a little bit because I was scared to get to the printing stage. All my brain could focus on is, what if the print fails? I don't know how to fix it. And honestly, that comes from a massive place of insecurity. I don't have that much experience yet, so failure can feel way bigger than it actually is. I guess I'm just trying to rewire my brain to be a bit more positive and remember that I'm still learning. There's going to be loads of things that are going to go wrong considering that's kind of the whole point of it all. I need to fix things, try again and learn as I go. That's just part of learning a new hobby, isn't it? I need to remind myself that I'm not some kind of savant and that learning is part of the fun. Does this fear of failure resonate with you guys too? I absolutely adore the way that I textured the candle. I feel like it adds so much life and it looks a lot more realistic too. It's not just a tube, it actually replicates the thing that I wanted it to look like. You get what I mean? I've realised whilst editing the video that it's really interesting to look back at the things that I would probably change. I would probably add a few globs of the wax dripping onto the actual candle holder. It would make it look like the candle's been burning for quite a while, and I feel like it'll just add that little bit of realism. Although hindsight is a very beautiful thing, I do think it's really important that I do reflect on my projects, because I feel like that's how I'll improve in the future as well. It's pretty much the whole reason why I'm recording the process. I did actually make this little guy into a full-on finished render, so if you do want to see how that turns out, please feel free to stick around till the end. But for now, let's get 3D printing! I think there's something super satisfying about watching the layers build up one by one. The 3D printer extrudes such thin layers of PLA each time that you don't really notice much of a difference at first. But then you leave the room for like an hour and come back and suddenly your character has a nose and most of a tail, or your candle's grown some wax strips. I think that's pretty cool. Oh, what the heck happened there? Something feels a little bit fishy, and I'll tell you why. Because the test print went really well. Things don't usually work on the first go for me, but the only issue was the little lip coming off the actual candle holder, but I'll take that as a massive win. I think I'll just try printing out the full thing and hope for the best. As the pieces were a little bit on the smaller side, they were a bit fiddly to sand, but something I have learned is I really enjoy using the purple PLA because I can at least see the bits that I've already sanded. It makes the prep process so much easier. Is the sound super annoying or super satisfying? I really can't tell which. As you can tell from my outfit, it's a completely different day, but I do have good news to report. All my little bits and pieces are all sanded, they're all base coated, so they're all ready to paint now. But I feel like there's a little bit of a problem. This little guy, he's meant to be a flame, right? He just looks a bit too smooth right now. I want to give him a little bit of texture, a little bit of, a little bit of movement, a little bit of fun. So I think I'm going to go over him with a little bit of clay just to give him that texture that I want. So obviously you just watched me put clay on this little fella to give him a little bit of extra texture, but in reality that was like 2 weeks ago. He's been dry and ready to paint for ages. I'll be honest though, I've heavily procrastinated putting the paint on him because I'm scared that I'm going to fall at that last hurdle. I do feel like my brain's been overthinking and it's been scaring itself almost. I think I've just got to get past that kind of fog and just get to it, because if I don't, he'll never get finished. And in reality, paint is really forgiving, especially acrylic paint because it's so thick. So if I do make a mistake, I can always try again. So I think I'm just going to get to it and have my fingers crossed. For a little fire friend, I wanted to add the acrylic paint with a soft sponge instead of a brush. Even though smaller brushes are really great for getting into all the little nooks and crannies, I wanted to avoid all the streaky brush marks that you can get, especially considering the printed layer lines would make them a lot more noticeable. I'm actually really surprised by how good it looks. Plus, it's a new technique I can use for future projects too. Level up! I know it's a little bit hard to see on camera, but I dabbed on really thick coats of the black paint. It helped to create some really nice pools of paint on the surface, to which, spoiler alert, when it came to dabbing on the gold paint later on down the line, it looked lovely. Alrighty, I'm going to stop talking for a little while so you can enjoy watching the painted details. So from the get-go, I knew I wanted the candle holder to be gold, but then I didn't want to just lather on paint because then it wouldn't have very much dimension at all. Plus, the bonus challenge was I wanted it to look really tarnished and old, like it had been sat there for years and years and years. But to be honest, I had no clue how to do that. As always, the internet is my best friend. I came across a TikTok by Nerdforge, which was exactly what I needed. Apparently a lot of people use it to paint kind of miniatures and Warhammer pieces as well, which is really cool. They're just too teeny tiny and I have no idea how people get so much detail. Like, check out this one, it's crazy. The miniature is literally less than the size of his thumb. I feel like the paintbrushes they must use must have one hair on it. I do think it'll be really fun to try one day, but right now, I don't think my patience or my skills are up to par. At the moment, the candle's looking a little bit boring and a little bit plain, especially when you compare it to all my other pieces. But I do have an idea to fix that. It is a little bit weird, so just bear with me. When you were younger, did you ever make a treasure map? Because I did, and I used tea to stain it, and then I burnt the edges to make it look old and authentic. That's exactly what I'm going to do with the candle. I'm just going to get a cup of tea, stain it, and see what happens. As you can see, I completely ditched the paintbrush and went straight in with the tea bag. Basically, and I'm very ashamed to admit this, but I made a really weak cup of tea. There was just no colour payoff at all. I don't think this is going to be particularly shocking, but the tea method did not work out. I think it was a bit too dribbly and a bit too orange. I think it's because of the tannins or something, I don't know. But in the end, I ended up panicking a little bit and then just painted the candle about 50 different times until I got something that I was somewhat happy with. I mean, I tried, right? I was trying to be nostalgic. It did not work out. But consolation. I got me some sticks. Hey, guess what? We've nearly finished. We just need to work on little details like the little fireballs and the little marshmallow and the stick. I figured it would be a lot easier to make it out of air dry clay considering I've got it handy. One thing that I've learned is that you must knead the air dry clay with a little bit of water to kind of wake it up a little bit and to stop it looking so crusty. Can I just highlight that I couldn't find any plain wire at my local craft store? I feel like that's really weird. What I did find though is a bunch of bits and pieces for flower arranging, which is also very oddly specific. I picked up a pack of fake vines and stripped them down to the wire so I could use that instead. Plus it was only £1.50 for one pack. What a bargain! I reckon it's a really good time to check out the final piece. Let's go! And as promised, here's the blender render. Alright my friends, that's the end of the video there. If you've stayed this long, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've really enjoyed following the process of making our little fire spirit and that it's brought you a little bit of joy, maybe even helped chase away some of those winter blues. If you'd like to see more of my creative journey with 3D printing, modelling and general crafting, please feel free to like and subscribe. Until next time, byes.